Hey guys, welcome to my absolute beginners tutorial. I've been playing EU4 now for several years, and I'm still learning about the game. The complexity of this game can be pretty frustrating for new players, and I remember when I started playing how disappointed I was with the amount of content that's available for just like the 101 level. So through a lot of trial and error and a lot of help from the EU4 subreddit, I've managed to get several runs under my belt now that I'm pretty proud of, and I hope to make that process a little bit easier for you. I'm going to strip the game down to just the things you absolutely need to know, and I'll ignore the subtleties and focus on the basics. So you're going to learn something new every time you play this game. It's important not to try to master everything at once. In this run, I'll be playing in vanilla, so no expansions, and I'll be playing as Molly. I'm going to play in Iron Man mode, which means that you can't revert to an earlier save file. All your actions are permanent. I like to play this way because it raises the stakes and it unlocks achievements. You can do whatever you want. Okay, so here we are. We're playing as Molly. There's a lot of information available right from the outset, but the first thing I always like to look at is up here in the top left, my treasury. You can see I have 66 ducats in the bank, and I'm bringing in almost 9 ducats per month. In the little drop down window there, you can see in green, those are my incomes, and in red, those are my expenses. Second is manpower. You can see I have about 10,000 manpower. Those are the people that are going to resupply my armies if I take casualties. And if I recruit new armies, it's going to pull from this pool as well. I'm going to cap out at 15,000. It says that it's my maximum. And I'm getting 144 each month. Next up are these three right here. Sometimes these are called mana, but it's your administrative power, your diplomatic power, and your military power. These are probably the most important points in the game. These are going to allow you to get new technologies. They're also used for development and ideas, and especially administrative power, you're going to need to annex new territories when you conquer them. So that's important. Next, you've got these little flags here. These will pop up anytime there's something that you really need to look at and deal with. So let's go through them one by one. First of all, it's saying I have too few rivals. Having rivals is important because once you pick a rival, it's going to be easier for you to wage war against them. And as you surpass the rivals, it's going to make your country look stronger. So that's good. I typically like to just go ahead and find out who my enemies are. These are people who have declared me as rivals. So right now we've got Yolof right there and Hene. Don't know if I'm pronouncing these names right, but these two countries right here are my enemies. So I'm going to make them my rivals. I'll click on rivals here. My first rival is going to be Yolof. And in this window, you can see what their opinion is of you right now. So they don't like me anyways. Their army is weaker than mine, so I don't mind them being a rival. And they already have me rivaled, so let's take them as a rival. And we'll do the same with this guy here. Okay. So you can see this little flag has disappeared. It says I have plenty of rivals. Next, it's going to show me my political unrest. If your unrest gets too high, you'll get revolts and little armies will pop up inside your territory that you have to deal with. So let's see where my unrest is at. If you hover your mouse over this little thing right here in purple, it'll highlight where that unrest is located. And in that little drop down window at the bottom there, you can see it predicts I'll have a revolt in about 24 years, which isn't that big of a deal. I think I'm just going to let that go. And here as well, 46 years to revolt. So that's not too bad. If I wanted to decrease the unrest there, I can just move my army over and that'll help stabilize things. But for now, we're going to ignore that. Next, it says I have low crown land. So let's click on that. It's going to bring up this pie chart. In every game, you're going to have white, which is crown land. That's land that you own directly. And 3 different factions. They're named something different depending on the nation you're playing as, but in general, blue are the merchants, red are sort of the political elite, military, and then yellow is the religious faction. So they have a lot of influence in my country. If I wanted to seize some crown land, I could do that right here. Seizing crown land, however, is going to make them dislike me, and I might get some revolts. So I'm just going to leave that for now too. Next up, I have no advisors. Advisors are really important because, like I said before, these 3 mana are very critical, and each advisor is going to increase your mana intake per month. And they also give you some bonuses. So if you look right here, I can hire this advisor. It's going to cost me 14 ducats outright and 1 monthly. That's going to give me 1 extra administrative mana per turn, and it's also going to give me a bonus of National Unrest -2. So that'll probably take care of this unrest right here. And administrative mana is pretty important, so I'm going to go ahead and take him. And I'm going to ignore diplomatic power right now. Let's look at military. Okay, I can go ahead and grab this guy. He's going to give me an extra military mana per turn. He's also going to increase the morale of my armies, so that's going to be another 15 ducats and 1 monthly. I'll hire him. And now you can see my treasury is down to 37, and my income is down to a little less than 7 per turn. So that's fine, I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, now let's look at who our potential allies are. We've already got Yolof and Hene here as rivals. So it's good to have friends. When you're looking for an ally, it's important to consider what's going to happen later in the game. So I could consider taking Timbuktu as an ally. They have a positive opinion of me. But if Timbuktu starts to expand and overshadow me, that gets kind of awkward. So I think I'm going to look at maybe taking Kong as an ally. Let's go ahead and do that. Click on them, it'll bring up a diplomatic window, and go to this alliances. And you can see, because of this little green check mark here, that if I offer an alliance, they're going to accept it. So let's take Kong as an ally. Okay, accepted. And 2 friends is better than 1, so let's look around some more. If you go to Kong, click on your ally, and look at this diplomatic window here, go to diplomacy, you can see they're allied with me now, and these are their rivals. If you hover over them, it'll highlight them on the map. So if I ally one of their rivals, that's going to create some tension, so let's consider those guys non-options. Maybe Songhai could be an ally. They have a positive opinion of me. It says that they will accept an alliance, but I can't offer this alliance until I wait another day. So I'm just going to start clock real quick, wait for a day to pass, and there we go. Songhai is ally number 2. Perfect. Okay, so one more thing we got to look at before we get the game going. If you go to your menu here, and this little green flag, it'll tell you your missions. So each nation has unique mission sets, and these are a good way to kind of steer your progression, because if you get these achievements, you get bonuses. So, see, trustworthy allies, we need at least 2. We have 2 allies, but they don't have 150 opinion of us yet. So we'll work on that. Let's go to Kong, diplomacy, go down to relations. It says we're waiting for 12 December. Okay, so now I can improve my relation with Kong. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And 13 December, I can improve my relation with Songhai. You can see up here now what my diplomats are doing. They're improving relations, and that's their current status. So once both of those get to 150, we'll have completed this mission of trustworthy allies. Another mission is good to knock out right away is building your army to the force limit. So if you go here to the military tab, and down here, you can see your force limit. Right now we have 11 armies, and 15 is our limit. You don't really want to build over your force limit, because then the expense of upkeeping your army goes way up. But we can build to our force limit. We need 4 more armies, and planning on waging a war early. So let's go ahead and get those 4 armies. We'll go to our production interface, and right here we'll grab some spearmen. Pick a territory to build those guys in. This will tell you how many days it's going to take. They're all about the same. So we'll just build 4 different territories like this. And you can see it goes red because I can't build a 5th one. I don't have the gold. Just use up the rest of our treasury building those armies. So we'll let that go ahead, and those armies will build. Actually, while they're building, let's look at what our first war is going to be. We have 1 diplomat left, and we need a casus belli. So a casus belli is basically a reason for war. You can go to anybody, diplomacy, and you can declare war. But if you don't have a casus belli, you're going to get major negative modifier. So you can see that if we, let's say, go to Timbuktu, right here, no casus belli, we get +2 war exhaustion, a lot of aggressive expansion, and stability is -2. So we don't want that. We already have a casus belli with Yolaf because they are a rival. So we can go to war with the purpose of humiliating them, but that doesn't really give you a lot of benefits. Notably, you can't conquer provinces. So let's not do that. Instead, we're going to go to the diplomacy window. We're going to go down here to covert actions, and we're going to build a spy network. So let's do that. Now, all of our diplomats are engaged. If you look up here, diplomats, we have 0 out of 3 available. And the magic number we're waiting for is 20 spy network. So let's go ahead and let our armies build and let our spy network go up to 20. Now we've got these flags that pop up for royal marriages. We got a royal marriage offer from Kong and from Songhai. A royal marriage is going to give you a legitimacy bonus over time. Not going to get too into this, but one important thing to know is that royal marriages are harder to break than regular alliances. So if you think somebody's going to be a short-term ally, don't get a marriage with them. It is going to increase your chance of a new heir, though, so it's good to have. So I'm going to take one for Kong, but not for Songhai. I think Songhai's short-term friend might have to turn on them later, so let's say no to that. Start the clock again. Go ahead and speed it up just to get our armies out, get our spy network up. Okay, so now you can see that our mission has been fulfilled. We have our force limit, and that's going to give us +5 morale of armies and -5% maintenance cost for our armies for the rest of the game. So that's a good way to start. Let's go ahead and click that to get the benefit. Next mission is going to be to expand Mali. That means we have to get our development increased by 50. So we can either develop territories or take them over. We're going to be doing some conquering. So we'll go that direction. I'll go ahead and put all my armies in one spot. That. And then if you click this little arrow button right here, it's going to merge them into one army. If you look at your army makeup, it'll tell you how many infantry, how many cavalry, and how many cannons you have. For now, there are no cannons. 3 cavalry is fine. You don't want to build too many of these to begin with because they're expensive. But we started with 3, so we'll keep them. And here you can see that each unit in our army has 1,000 population. That's the default. So a 15,000 man army is 15 units. As they take damage, those numbers will go down, and then they'll be refilled out of our manpower pool. You can see our manpower pool, which was at 10,000, is now dropped down because the armies we recruited. but that's fine. It'll go back up. So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward to the point where we have 20 spy network. Okay, so our spy network now is at 20. You'll also see that our stability has gone up to 1. I got a free stability point from a little pop-up window, so that was lucky. One other thing I want to do right away is grab this navy here, and we're just going to click this little skull to disband them. We're keeping this game simple. Not going to worry about even having a navy right now. So let's go ahead and get our army moving in this direction. If you hover over a territory, you'll see a little supply limit. Supply limit here is 19, so I'm going there. The reason for that is if you have more units than supply limit, you're going to take attrition. So if I put my 15-man army here, I'm going to take attrition, which just means I lose people every turn. So avoid going over there. Some attrition can't be helped. Once we start invading hostile territory, we're going to take attrition no matter what, but it's better to not have that. Okay, so we got our army arriving. Our spy network is at 20, so we're going to go ahead and click on Yolof, go to diplomacy, and remember before we talked about Casus Belli, we need a reason to declare war on these guys. So I'm going to fabricate a claim, which is going to cost me 20 spy network, and I'm going to claim Wolof because it's worth 8, and go ahead and do that. Stop building a spy network because mission accomplished, and we're bringing that diplomat home. Here we go, I've got my Casus Belli. Now I go to Yolof, diplomacy, declare war, and you can see he has an ally, Henne. So if I declare war on Holof, I'm also going to go to war with this guy, but I can call my allies to the war as well. Generally, if you can call allies, you want to, for a couple of reasons. One, it brings more units to the fight. Also, once the war ends, there's going to be a peace treaty. If Songhai has a peace treaty with these guys, he can't be taking them over and expanding. I don't want Songhai to get any stronger than he already is. So I'm going to go to war with this guy, call both these people as allies. You can see that their alliance is going to have 10,000 units, and they have 36,000 in reserves. We have 22,000 already in the field with 6,000 cavalry, and we have 59,000 in reserve. So we definitely have the advantage here. Let's go ahead and do it. Now that we've declared war, we want a leader for this army. It's a major benefit to have a general. So what I could do is I could recruit a general. That's going to take 50 military mana. But since this is an early war and I don't have a lot of mana, I don't think the general is going to be super critical. I think I'm just going to give that responsibility to my heir. The risk of doing this is that if this heir dies in battle, that could mess with my transition of power a little bit, but we'll talk about that later. So I've got a star there because I got a 1-star leader in charge of the army. And you can see right here, the country is at war. So all I got to do is go ahead and move my army into their territory. And you can see, even though their supply limit is 16, this little skull pops up on my army saying I'm taking attrition. That's because it's hostile. So that can't be avoided. Now he's going to start trying to move into my territory. And instead of taking his territory, I think I'm just going to knock out his army. He's got this little lock on his movement, which means he cannot stop going from this territory to this territory. He's already committed. So if I go to this territory, we'll both arrive there at about the same time. And you can see this little swords pop up, meaning there's going to be a conflict, which is what I want. So let's go ahead and have a fight there. Oh, he arrived a little bit early, so I'm actually a little behind catching up with him. I'll go ahead and follow him. And I caught him, so there we go. Now, as this battle moves forward, this little bar right here is their morale, which is basically the hit points for the army. If they run out of morale, the fight's over and I win. Okay, so battle's over. Shows the casualties. I lost 3,500 men and 9,000 cavalry. So I actually took bigger losses than him because he was on defense, but that's fine. Still won the fight, and he's retreating back. If you beat an army, you'll either force them to retreat or you'll completely crush them. But in this case, he's still got some men left. He's retreating. So I'm going to follow him back and try and finish off that army. Let's see where he's going. Now his army's cornered. Once I catch up with him, it's probably going to be the end for them. Okay, so he lost all his men. That army's completely crushed. So it's a major victory for us. I'm going to go ahead and split my army. Now you see this... You see this little loading bar here. Once this goes all the way up, I'm going to capture this territory. Okay, captured that one. I'll move this one towards the capital, so I can take his capital. Took that one as well. You can see it still says his color, which is like a beige, and then has white lines through it showing that I'm occupying that territory. If you look at this army right here, you can see that I have 5 infantry, 2 cavalry, so that should be 7,000, but instead it's only 5.4. That's because of all the casualties I took. So each unit right here, you can see how many people are actually in the unit, and that'll gradually go back up to 1,000 and it will draw from my manpower pool. And while we're capturing these territories, let's see what mission we fulfilled. Okay, so both of our allies have more than 150 opinion of us. So we've got trustworthy allies. That's going to give us a diplomatic reputation of +1 for the rest of the game. Good to go. Okay, you're also going to see a loading bar here that's a little bit different than this one, right? So once this gets to 100, great, I've captured that territory. These guys can move on. But this one, it says -28%, because there's a fort here. It's only a level 1 fort, so this should be pretty easy to take. But besieging any territory with a fort takes longer, so this loading bar is going to go all the way up, and each time it fills, I get a chance to knock this number down. It's going to start in the negatives, it's going to go all the way to 0, and then it's going to start going into the positive numbers. Once it gets up to around +50, something like that, we'll have captured that territory. That's going to take a minute. Let's go check on the other side of the war. So Henne is also in the war. We click on war up here. You can see Henne is part of this conflict. We're winning the war, got 28% war score, and their armies are fighting over here with Songhai. So it looks like he's not doing so well. Songhai's got a 8,000 man army, and I think that's all he's got right there is 1,000. Oh. Okay, yep, Songhai is making quick work of him. gonna go over here and help capture some of this territory. You can see Kong's got an army roaming around, helping out as well. So this is a pretty one-sided fight. So what I'm gonna do is finish off this siege. That's just gonna take some time. And it's also gonna cost attrition. Sieges are always gonna cost men. And we're also gonna have to siege Henne's capital. So I'll fast forward to the point where all these territories are captured. Okay, so we've captured all their territories. We've occupied them. You can see one of them is occupied by Songhai, unfortunately, but that's okay. Another thing I want to deal with is our improved relation has been very successful. So we've got pretty high opinion for both these guys. I'm going to go ahead and right-click here to call my diplomats so I can use them for something. And then we're going to go ahead and start negotiating with these guys for peace. So if you negotiate with Yolof, since he's the one I declared war on, any peace settlement with him is going to end the war with everyone. But if I negotiate with Henne, the ally, I can get a separate peace settlement from him. So I'm going to negotiate with him first and sue for peace here at the top. Now, if I ask for this territory, that territory is going to go to Songhai because he's the one who occupies it. So I don't want that for him. I'm just going to grab these 3 territories. You can see this little green check says that he will accept that. And there's still some points left, some war score, so I'm going to ask for gold. Just keep pumping that up until I have 100% of my war score used up. And I'm going to send that demand to Henne. He accepts it. Okay. Now all that territory is mine. Let the clock go a little bit so I can get another piece. Piece with this guy. And I've occupied all his territory, so give it all to me. And I can shift left click here to make the gold go up to the max. That's still only using 60 of the war score, but I don't know what else I can actually get from him. I'm taking this whole country, so I guess that's enough. Send demand. Okay. And now this is all mine. And this little green flag popped up, which means we fulfilled another mission. We expanded Mali, so that's going to give us some extra development points, and construction development costs are going to go down. That's great. Let's see what else we got to deal with. Okay, now we've taken over these territories, but they haven't been cored. Coring is basically integrating them into your country. So if you go up here, it's going to say some of your provinces lack cores, and it'll tell you which ones those are and how much it's going to cost in administrative points to get those core. So it's pretty expensive, and it is more expensive because I have war exhaustion. But I'll just go ahead and say core all. It's going to core as many as it can until I run out of administrative points. As those administrative points come in, I'll core the rest, and that process takes a little bit of time. And there's going to be some unrest as this process is happening. So keep my army on standby. It says Henne is no longer a valid rival. That makes sense. Henne only has 1 territory left now. Okay, so I need another rival. Who's it going to be? Timbuktu. Okay, now Timbuktu is my rival. You can see my corruption went up as well. Again, I said we're not going to go too much into this, but if you see your corruption is going up, click on it, go here to root out corruption, and just move this slider to the right until you see that number change to green. And that's going to cost you some gold. So you see back here, my balance is 6 ducats per month. Sliding that all the way over there, it's going to cost us some money. But once the corruption's all gone, that money will come back. Okay, what else do we got? Got a truce with Henne now. which will end in 63. We can build some forts if we want to, but we don't. And we still have some things that need to be cored, but we don't have the administrative points. So let's just let some time go by. Okay, so now our cores are about 85% done for 2 of them. We got 86 administrative power now, so we can start coring the rest of these. And it's important not to core too many territories at once. The more you have that hasn't been integrated yet, the more overextension you're going to get. So right now we're only at 47%, and once these cores here finish up, that'll go down. But you wouldn't want to start too many wars consecutively. But now that some time has passed, we've got these cores up. I've also been building a spy network here in Timbuktu, so I think that's going to be our next war. So let's go to Timbuktu, do the same thing again. We'll fabricate a claim. Let's claim this one. It's right on the border. Now we've got a casus belli against Timbuktu. Start getting our army moving up that way. And we've got so much gold now built up. We took gold from the guys we conquered. Also, as you're going to war with folks and your armies are occupying territories, you'll just kind of naturally loot some gold. Plus, we already had a positive balance, so we're getting a pretty good count here in the bank. So remember, before we skip the diplomatic advisor, generally it's good to have advisors in here. I think we can afford it. Let's go ahead and get a new one. I'm going to grab this guy. He's going to make our trade efficiency go up. So if you look here, we're getting 1.86 in trade. It's going to give us a little bonus to that. Good. Plus I'm getting extra diplomatic power per turn. Okay, I got this call to arms pop up. So Kong is requesting aid against one of their rivals. It's a war that they started. So they're looking for us to be their ally. We can afford to do that, I think. There's Oyo. So, unhelpful thing, if you can't find this country, Oyo, you can click F, and then you can search here. Oh, I see, clearly down here. So it's going to be Oyo and Ouagadougou against Kong. He wants our help. Now, if we decline this, because he's our ally, it's going to hurt our prestige quite a bit. So let's go ahead and accept Kong as an ally. Help him out with that war. Shouldn't be too much for us since we're a much bigger power. To help him fight these little guys. Looks like Songhai is also getting in on it, so. I actually think with Songhai's help, he's not going to need us. Let's just go do our own thing up here. Timbuktu is in on the war. So let's click on countries at war. See exactly what's going on here. Timbuktu, Songhai, Mali, and Kong against these two. Interesting. I want to declare war on Timbuktu. Oh, we can't do it because we're on the same side of a war. Let's stop building a spy network. We're gonna have to wait for this war to finish up before we take over Timbuktu. So I'm going to seize their capital, and you'll see I'll take some attrition here by doing this. I'm also going to get some gold from pillaging it. Okay, so Kong's war has ended. You can see he grabbed some new territory here. We've got this flag pop up for rebel uprising, which is pretty much the same thing as provincial unrest, but this will be red. if you have unrest higher than 80%. So we're probably going to get a revolt here in less than a year over at Henne, and over here in Yolof, it's not looking very good either. This is pretty normal when you first take territories and you're trying to integrate them, but expect to see some rebels pop up, and we'll just move our army over there and crush those rebels. Okay, so there they are. They popped up. Crush them. Yolof is going to have a revolt in about a year. This will also tell you what the size of the army is going to be when it pops up. So they've got about 8,000 man little revolution going on over there. So send our army to take care of that. Okay, so we've crushed the Yolof rebels. Moving back over towards Timbuktu. Now my manpower is getting pretty low. We've got a 15,000 man army. Timbuktu has 9,000. And if I go to war with them, Kong is going to be their ally. Because Kong is allied to them as well. So politics changes things. I'm going to call this war off for now. We'll just keep our army here in the capital. What about these guys? Are allied with nobody that I care about. They're rivaled these guys. Maybe I can just conquer them. Go ahead and build a spy network there. Alright guys, here we are. We got our spy network built up for this guy right here. And go ahead and fabricate a claim. The one with the highest development. Now, we wanted to declare war on Timbuktu. We have a Casus Belli. But they have an ally in Kong, so we don't want that. These guys don't have any allies that I care about. Their total army size is going to be 18,000 now. So they're a little bit too strong to take over. So that's another non-starter. Now we're just going to have to bide our time. But we've already taken over 2 smaller countries. It's not bad. Okay, so since we're not conquering any of our neighbors, let's open up our estates window. Now remember, our crown land was pretty low. You can see it's a little bit bigger because we conquered territory that became crown land, but it's still only 31%. And we've got this army sitting around not doing anything. So I'm going to go ahead and seize land from these factions. And that's going to make them very disloyal, probably cause an uprising. It's okay, we'll deal with it. Okay, so one of our advisors has died. It's our military advisor, so he'll have to be replaced. Got a lot of choices here. We've got 1 plus 2, but plus 2 is a lot more expensive than plus 1. We don't have that much gold coming in, so I do want a military advisor, but I'm not looking to go that pricey. So maybe national manpower modifier. We also have morale of armies again. Let's take the manpower because our manpower is kind of low right now. Now we've got this little blue flag here. This blue flag is going to allow us to make states. If you keep clicking on it, it'll cycle through different options for states. Right now we have 2. States are territories that, well, how do I explain it? They've been cored, but these have not been made into states yet. So it's like the second level of integration, and if I do that, it's going to give me an extra 0.8 ducats per turn, but it's going to cost us some mana. So we're going to go ahead and do that over here. Now we have to recore them as states. That's going to cost 116 administrative mana. That's fine. Now if you ever want to look at which territories are states, there's a map mode for that. So green are states, yellow are territories. If you ever get into a weird map mode and things look strange, like this or this, political map mode is the default. So I still want to declare war on this guy. We looked at it before, and his alliance has 20,000 soldiers, and my partners aren't coming to the war. It's because if you hover over this X, it says they're not willing to join another offensive until 1455. So I used my allies in that first war where we conquered Yolof and Hene. So once 1455 comes around, my allies might be willing to join another war. So we'll just go ahead and wait for that to happen. Okay, so now we're back trying to declare war on our neighbor here, and you can see my allies are again willing to join in a war. So if I get them involved, looks like we have more armies, but fewer in reserve. So it's kind of a close combat, but I think we can take them. So let's go ahead and do that. Just going to go ahead and chase down his army here. It's important to grab their armies while they're smaller before they all join up together, because as we saw when we declared war, they actually have a little bit of a numbers advantage, but we can win some early battles, so make up for that. So he knows that, he's running away. Oh, got him. It's also important to try to take fights on friendly forts and not on enemy forts, because forts give a huge advantage to the defender, and the defender is always the owner of the fort. So my partner here is taking his capital. Hopefully he doesn't get attacked while he's doing it. I'm going to go ahead and try and take a fight up here on Songhai's capital, so I'm going to have a major advantage there. Oh, this could get ugly because he's got allies coming to reinforce him. But I beat him just in time. I won the first fight, now Songhai's coming to help me out. There we go. Now at this point, they've taken so many casualties. You can see the total casualties for the war and like every battle broken down here. Yeah, looks like we're doing good. We have 15,000 infantry right now on the field, and they only have 10,000. Now remember, I have a 15,000 man army here, but some of these units, this one only has 92, so they're not looking so hot. And I'm at 6,000 total with 3,000 in reserve, which means I'm not going to fill this back up to 15,000. So what I can do is I can go ahead and consolidate my regiments, and that's going to take these partial regiments and make whole ones. So I'll wait until I've got some more population in there. Okay, now I've got 7, almost 8,000. I'll go ahead and consolidate them. Now you can see I've got 8 whole units, down from 15. And that's going to make my whole units stronger, and it's also going to mean I'm paying less upkeep, because you pay upkeep per army. He's desperately trying to make units here and he's running over to try and take some lands. Let's pick these guys off one by one. Okay, so we're taking down this capital, but even after we control all this land, we're not going to get the war score that we need to win this war decisively until all of his allies are dealt with. So you can see his war enthusiasm is at a medium, and once his capital's taken, that'll probably drop down to a low. But his allies here, they're still eager to fight. He's got 3 different allies. So I can send my army over and maybe siege their capitals and try and knock them out of the fight. Looks like they may be going to try and stop this siege from happening. We definitely don't want Kong's army to get caught in a fight on the capital, especially if he's outnumbered, so I'll abandon my siege here. Oh, he's actually going after Songhai's capital. So maybe me and Songhai both send our armies up here. We can prevent this from happening. Now this is always a little risky, because what I hope would happen is Songhai will join me in defending his capital. Yeah, I could be a little unpredictable. So let's see. Looks like he's going to do it. We both jumped in here, knocked him off the capital. We definitely had the advantage in that fight because it was on a fort. They lost a lot more than we did, and it forces them to give up that siege. Alright, let's go back to sieging down these allies. Okay, great. Now, in the meantime, we're down another advisor. Must have died. Get another one for national unrest. Really like that one because it prevents revolts. And we also got this pop up. This is government reform. So over time, your government naturally gets these reform points, and once you fill up this bar here, you can get another bonus to kind of modify your empire. So we started with this one right here, and we could change our tier 1 modifier, or we can move on and add a tier 2 modifier. It's usually good to add instead of change because you're already getting a bonus here. Don't spend points just to modify it. So let's see what we got. We can increase our tax modifier by 15%. Decrease our fort maintenance. I think I'm gonna go with the. Oh, we also have a manpower modifier. Let's get the 10% manpower modifier. It's way better to have 10% bigger armies, right? So what that's going to do is your total manpower up here is going to increase by 10%. So we'll have a bigger pool to draw from. Okay, so here we are. Our war score is at 90%, 99%, and all their capitals have been occupied, so they're done for. Let's go ahead and start making peace agreements. But again, as we make these agreements, we're going to save our neighbor here for last, because if we make an agreement with him, it ends the war. So what I want to do is engage each of his allies individually and see what terms they will leave the war. So this guy way over here, he wants out. His capital's been occupied, his army's dead. I can't really grab any land from him, but I'm going to shift left click this right here to get the maximum amount of gold that he's willing to give. And then I'm going to look through what else he's got. I can have him end his rivalries with different people or end his alliances. I could also have him release territories into an independent nation. I think I'll just take his trade power since he doesn't really have anything else to give. And leave it at that. Fine. Let a couple days pass so we can get another peace agreement. We'll go down here to Dokbalm. Super peace with him. Again, no territories available for us to take, but we'll get the max amount of gold. And we could make him a vassal. Can we? No. Actually can't do that, it won't let us. Too much war score is needed, so just take his gold. Have him transfer his trade power to us. And that's that. And the last ally right here, Bonamon. Super peace with him. Now, he's adjacent to us, so we actually can take this territory. But you can see in this little window here by my mouse that it's occupied by Kong. So if we take this land, it's going to become Kong land. And generally, I don't want to make anybody else in this region stronger. So we're going to leave that territory alone. We're just going to take his gold, take his trade power, and that's it. Okay. Now, last but not least, here, go to diplomacy, super peace. We've occupied all his territory, so take it. We're gonna take his gold. Yeah, that's really all he has to give. So let's go ahead and do that. Now look how big Mali has become in such a short amount of time. This is pretty good. Get our armies going over here. Now one thing I am a little concerned about is we only have a 5,000 man army here. And got all these territories to core, so let's do that. Comes out of our administrative power. We've already got some rebels popping up here. So wars and annexing new territory creates instability. You're going to get rebels. Now, once a territory has black lines through it like this, that means it's been occupied by the rebels. So you just keep your army here, let this loading bar go up, just like when you're in war and you're capturing a territory, and that'll restore it to you. Okay, so we've got our army here, 5,000 people in it. It's still got 8 armies, so it can cap out at 8. It's going to take a while to fill, though, because we only have about 1,000 in our manpower pool. But I'm going to let that go and not consolidate it, because I eventually do want those 8,000 soldiers. That's kind of like a minimum just for defending ourselves and knocking down the separatists that pop up later. Okay. So there we go. Started in the year 1444. It's 1460. We've conquered a lot of territory. We've completed some missions. We've got some strong allies here. And we've got Timbuktu on notice. Hopefully someday we can invade this territory as well. For now, I'm just going to keep our army on standby and that kind of concludes the first portion of this video. I think that introduces you to a lot of the basic mechanics. So I'm going to continue on with Molly in the second video, and we'll keep going from here and develop Molly some more.